Yo, we're here with the legendary Dr. Jeff. If there's anything wrong with your neck, this is the man that probably did it to you.
Why just my neck? Or your neck, or their neck?
Or anybody's neck.
Anybody's neck.
Yeah.
Or your back.
Go.
So guys, I've been practicing jiu-jitsu for quite some time. Mike's been teaching. Mike took over the class. Incredible. We got Ethan over here who's the uke every single day. I got to tell you something, that everybody who knows me knows that I look forward to coming to jiu-jitsu, and it's because of what's going on these mats over here. I just love coming here, and this is my happy pill.
Yeah. Tell them what they have to do on the YouTube channel. What are they going to do?
Like,
Yeah, 3 things.
comment, subscribe,
Yeah.
and also share it.
It's 4 things. Forgot about
Share
the
it.
comment. It's important to leave comments.
You got to comment. Get the algorithm up. You know Al? Do you know Al?
Algorithm?
Algorithm. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's cousins with Eddie Edibles, right? Yeah. If you like Dr. Jeff, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.
From side control, where we were in side control and we were holding this position here, and then I explained about driving this back and holding this elbow and bringing this knee up and all these things. So we're not going to go that way, okay? But we're in that same position, okay? I'm going to ask this person to keep this knee down, because if you're really good at it, you will, even regardless with this knee, and you know how to surfboard ride this guy, you most of the time, I'm not saying all the time, there's a good probability that I'll get some penetration and I will get that knee to the mat. And once I get to the knee to the mat, then I can start figuring out how to get my foot over. So I know there's all different levels in the room. I'm going to ask, turn this way for me. Right, the other, yeah. I'm going to ask it, and I know so many people in this room do it. They're so excited to mount, and they'll do this. They'll be in the side control position, they'll sit this, and they'll just try to throw this leg over the top like this. Do not do that. Just do it. The reason I say don't do that is, like, yeah, I get it. You will get some people in a mount, understood, but who? Like, when it's on the line and he's a high-level player, he will catch your foot. So why are you doing something that potentially, like, is never going to work at the highest level? So why do it? Like, so don't do that, okay? So I'm not going to take a big, silly step over the top and make it part of my game. It's not going to be there, okay? So I'm going to start slowly, because if I start explaining too much of this detail, we'll never get through it. So I'm going to tell you a very simple pattern, but then I'll refine the pattern over the next days or two, because there's just too much detail to mounting and choking somebody out, and then understanding the angles that they're going to change. We'll be here an hour talking about it before we ever get started. Okay, so we're going to break it down pretty simple. Obviously, I would love to do a couple of things. I want to mount him. Okay, so I want to be aggressive in driving this. So I'm going to ask you, when possible, that you take this hand, and if you can, put your fingers underneath his armpit, because then there's something to hold on to as I start driving his face to the mat, okay? So I only give him one option, to look that way. So my shoulder is really hiked up high as I'm pulling in. So as I'm pulling in, I'm doing this, right? So if I pull this in from underneath here on this grab, as I start yanking this in, my shoulder is going to be the main thing that comes forward. So now I've made his head turn this way, right? That's what I did earlier with my kneecap in the past couple of classes. But now I'm going to do it that way, because I want to mount. I want to either choke him out from a mount, or I want my 4 points, okay? So I'm here. Sometimes you might say to me, "Man, I couldn't reach," okay? There's good and bad to this, okay? Earlier I had told you about knee penetration and stuff, and that you sometimes, regardless, because this is so dead on, that you're going to get through, because all you're going to give him is one option. So as you're driving him like this, right, this knee's going to slide here. Can you have the flexibility to bring your foot forward and bring it back? I don't know. Not everybody will. High-level players will, okay? But let's talk about up here for 1 second. So I told you what I'd love to do. There's good and bad to this, because sometimes you may be a small person and then you can't get your hands together, or you can't get a great bite on there. So now you got to put your hands together, because I want to hold this position super strong. But then I lose this hand, because if this gentleman was so much bigger than me in what I described earlier, then if I put this hand together, then there's a probability that he throws me over that side if I've tripoded up to make this aggression so, like, I'm determined to drive this knee through no matter what. So this hand, if I have this bite on this, I might need this hand to use as a floater to give me stabilization in case he tries to buck me. So I have to understand how I'm reading this, right? Reading reaction speed. This is what the game's about, right? So I have to understand when I do this, when I do this, when I float this. So I'm really reading this. I'm also reading to understand where I am with that jawline. Because if I'm here sitting on his neck and he's got rotation, then he's got pendulum swinging to throw me or recover. So I have to understand where everything is lying. Now you get to start to see it takes a lot of detail and a lot of practice, okay? So I'm not gonna go here yet, okay? We're just gonna say, hey, I drove it, ask your partner, do you have heavy pressure, okay? I'm gonna ask him to keep his knee down for now, okay? So everybody can see everything, right? I would love to be able to grab on here, because if I can grab on here, I got a pretty good bite here, sorry,
Yep.
I can start driving aggressively to this side and get myself all the way over. Now my knee line is starting to drive through. But I've had the stabilizer the whole time that I can float him in case he's so big and strong and he wants to put this on my hip line and he can bench press my body weight hypothetically with one hand. He's gonna lift me up and put me over. So I better have that hand free to float. But if that was the other way where he's the smaller guy, I got this great, maybe I don't want this. You know, maybe I'm like, you know what, I cinch this thing so tight, I'm owning this regardless of where we go over. Okay, so I need you to understand like what I'm doing at what times. Okay, so as I drive this leg over and I'm sitting here like this, once my knee line hits the mat, I do not want to take my foot and just collide it over like this. And now he grabs my foot, and now you're stuck like this. And I went, damn, this guy almost had 4 points, and he gave it up like that. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to understand where you are with this knee. You can do two things. If you feel no resistance, you can flip your hips. As you flip your hips, make sure you bite onto his hips. When I flip this hip, and I'm going to tell you two things on this point. Once I land this here, I can land this, and I'm sitting here like this, driving up at this 45 this way. I can land this, and what I told you earlier about taking this back leg, my right leg that's sitting on his sternum right now, I can take this and pull it forward and then slide it back in underneath and reset myself. Some people don't have that flexibility. Some people can't bring that leg up, and in the heat of the battle, you're going, man, I don't feel comfortable bringing too much body weight up there. I'm feeling his strength right now. And I don't know him, and he's a good wrestler, and they've been taught from the very beginning, they lost. So they're bucking like crazy, okay? So I just told you slid this up, but we're not gonna say that at this point. I'm gonna ask you to learn how to flip your hips. So you do bit on really tight here with your fingers. We had this thing where this was a floater. This thing does not sit randomly. The only time I'm mounting is if I own this elbow. So as you're floating this guy, he's not sitting here. He's sitting here underneath that armpit, and he's floating left or right with the hand. But do not relinquish this elbow. If you relinquish this elbow, do not mount. Do not mount, okay? Because that's his knee elbow escape. So what makes you think that when you get over there, he's not going to knee elbow? And if he's a good foot locker, he's going to separate you from here and attack this leg down here, right? So I need to know what's going on with that arm. So do not mount if you lose that elbow. I'm here. Now I've just told you about this hand and why I did this and when I did this. And I said, hey, I'm up here sitting here and I'm now on this jaw and I caught this underneath and I'm going, I'm going to mount you, dude. So I start driving through and I base my head and I got stabilization with my hand and I'm pushing off my back left leg and I'm sliding my kneecap through. The moment I slide my kneecap through, I'm going to start making a change in the pattern where I start turning this way with my upper body because I want to flip my hip. So as I land, I'll go slow. As I land, I said my head was going to start turning because I want to flip my hip and make this a stabilizer on this side. As I stabilize with this side, this leg on the back side that was over here should have been cinching at the back of his hip. The left leg that I'm banging on the mat should have been cinching at the hip. As I take this leg, I do not go upwards with my hip line. I go outwards with my kneecap so my hips never leave him and insert backwards again and reset. It's critical that you do it the right way. Only because I tell you, I want it to be black to black, highest level of the game. It's not going black to blue, black to purple. It's black to black, highest level of the game. If you're off on anything, you will lose the man, okay? So it's critical that you understand like why I'm doing what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, okay? So we had an explanation about up here. I'm not gonna say anything other than we start mounting. Bottom player should feel like, man, I want you to mount because I can't take this pressure, it's so intense. This back leg on the left side is using it as force to make that neck go that way, Okay, so when you see me here with this, and I'm sitting here driving to the mat, I've bit onto the bottom portion of his elbow. This is the floating hand, and I'm pushing off with this back leg. I've got an insertion at my kneecap at his hip line, and now I'm ready to drive. I'm pushing off this back leg to stabilize my head, and now this is my floater. I landed my knee. My upper body starts rotating to this side upwards because I want to sit my kneecap on the far side or flip my hip. The moment I flip my hip, I gotta bite onto those hips because they're gonna turn left and right. So this guy on this side should have been cinching at this hip, and this kneecap and hip should have been squeezing together. This guy and this guy squeezing. I gotta slow those rotations down till I reset myself up here. It's I can't describe it enough. It's like these guys are gonna be bucking like crazy to get you off. It's incredibly important that you stabilize the thing that gives most power for them is this, because they're going to be turning left and right. So when that knee flips and that back leg turns this way, this ankle is cinching in as this kneecap is pressing, because I want to reset myself up here that I stabilize them supine to get my legs back in an insertion on my grapes. Okay, guys? Let's try it, and then we'll add details to how we capture the arm and come up high. Let's do it. I'm like this, and the gentleman has been on to me also, and he's got this hand super tight, and I'm going, man, I would love to mount him. But the problem is, once you get to mount, how I get this arm above him is by taking this arm and going in a counterclockwise crawl from this way, right, or clockwise this way, where this hand, I'm gonna stay up for a second. Imagine me mounted, and what I start doing is walking the hand in a counterclockwise manner. But the problem is now when I go mount, he was already like this, cinched. So how am I laying on top of him like this, gonna beat him at an angle when I've just described this man as bigger and stronger than me? So how am I gonna get to this point? Because right now, I somehow have to walk this way, but I'm mounted like this. Not that easy to do, okay? If I had the arm like this, that's different. Now it's not where it's cinched down, and I'm like, okay, that's different, okay? Because now when I generate power from here and I start doing my counterclockwise, it's different how the generating force applies, okay? So before he's like this, I'm mounted, but I gotta go that way. Now I'm mounted, but the arm's up here like this. So now when I generate force, I can get it to go past that 45 position, and now we can start really affecting how we get this to here and then dismount, okay? So the reason I'm bringing it up is sometimes you're gonna be able to get this hand up and sometimes you're not. I'm not gonna go through crazy detail, but I'm gonna show two patterns on this. This kneecap that just bit in here, before I decide to mount, I'm gonna start making this hand come up. Why do I have to mount early? I got penetration already here. So why would I even wanna go until I see where this arm is? So remember how I was telling you earlier about, I wanna know what happens with that elbow. I wanna know everything about this elbow. Forget about the rest right now. I wanna know everything that's happening over there, okay? So when he was like this, right? I'm here, and I slid this in. So now I start driving this up, right? I didn't mount yet. All I cared about was getting this arm up as high up as possible. And remember I said before, you can flip the hip. I would prefer that you just bring your kneecap up and slide back, right? But now I'm not letting go of this arm. And now I have it you okay?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Sorry about that. He's had bad rib, and that's all the things to do today. So now I'm here. I'm just gonna ask you without crazy detail, work the arm up, cinch your arm up, take this arm, come over and separate. I'll go through deep detail with that another day, not today, right? But I'm going to ask you to do two different versions, right? I just said about this and this, okay? I'm going to say, hey, when I go like this, you go harder like this. And I go, damn, can't get this freaking guy to separate his arm from his body, right? So I'm like this. I just told you before, I'm like this, and he cinches harder. So I base out this way. And now I do the other flip. I come right back up and bring him back. He didn't want to go this way. He wanted to come this way. He wanted to cinch hard this way. So why not bring him this way? He doesn't want to go my arm, right? Yes, sir. So why can't I just go back and take it back the other way into a Kimura set? Or I could flip this all the way over and take him into an arm bar, right? There's so many positions I could take it to, right? But I want you to understand, I'm not going to go through crazy detail on this right now. I'm going to go kneecap, arm up, flip, right? Or slide forward and then capture. Second one, let him have a little bit more of a bite. And you go, you know what? You want to hold on so tight over here. What is the point? Even if I mount, like, and this goes back to the read and reaction, is that if I was in a competition and 4 points meant a lot, I go mount. And then I dismount off of you after that. And then I'll let you get a little bit of a knee in, and then I'll pass that little bit of a knee, and I get some more points, and I'm mounting in. And that's how those scores start to go 24, 28. Like, so I'm here, kneecap. I told you why you generate force to bring this up, because you're going to be pointless. But in the second one, he cinches down so hard. So potentially I could go mount, dismount, and now attack again, or attack this neck. He's not defending the neck. So if he's like this, right, I'm here like this, and I'm going, okay, I'm going to try to slide this knee in. I'm going to start to stabilize. I'm going to come here, and I'm going, damn, this guy's cinched on so tight, he can get this arm up. It's no big deal. I'll just take my arm up, right? Potentially I take this neck, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to say in this one, we're just going to rotate over. We're going to windshield wiper our legs, step over if you want to go knee pinch into a Kimura, or you want to make a full rotation over and then take this arm on the other side. I'm fine with either one. I'm not going to go through deep detail. As long as we capture the patterns, then we'll add the details in with really specific fine points. Okay, guys? Let's part of it, do it. Let's rock. Sometimes you're going to be like this, okay? And then sometimes you're going to be like this. But you still had the elbow. And I just want to point something out. On the dismounting one, where you know what I told you, you're here like this, and then you decided to bring them up because you bring the arm up. If you're going to bring this up, you have to stop in a knee pinch, right? You have to, because as what's going to happen is, I would love to take this hand, because I've made this commitment, and this is just minor, right? There's two things that are going to occur here for a second, though. When I decided to dismount, I could always use my hand on this to bring him up. I could also, because he was like going the other way and trying to fight what I wanted to do, so I brought him back, right? I could also use this hand to make a wedge under here, because he's gonna know I'm trying to come around the turn. So I'll wedge this thing under him so that I can get my body to this side on this arm, with this leg, so that I can open up this pocket. But I'm sitting here in a knee pinch because I really don't own this arm that well. It's different than if I was in this armpit. So if you're gonna do this, you gotta squeeze the legs together and end in a knee pinch. And I see some people coming around like this, and then they're here, and they're trying to open this up. This guy's already left you at that point, okay? Number two is, if you're gonna come over the top this way, throw this hand over right away. Meaning this, like I brought him up like this, and now you already know that you've gotten him to this point, because my hand was here, right? So he's not fighting back. He's not pulling back. He came this way. Like I countered his reaction. So when I countered, I was going that way. He was forcing me to come back this way. So I accepted so that I can come back this way. Reason I bring this up is that some people are bringing him up and then putting this hand like this and then stepping over like this, opening this up and bring. No. That guy left you already. He's home sleeping, okay? This hand that was here, the moment if he's countered back, this hand as it's coming over isn't basing here. I told you before it was here, or it's coming over this way right away, because it's got to go into this pocket. And if I miss the pocket and he comes to turtle, my elbow's ready to come right back in and come right back on the hunt. So this hand, I never want to see it out here. It has two purposes. It has a wedge if I feel the counter back, right? But he countered, so I countered. I wanted to go mount. He doesn't want me to go that way, so he pushes me back this way. So I accept the pushback to bring him to a 45, but I also accept that I might miss this, but if I miss it, then you got to deal with me either here or here. One of the two. I'm coming for either that back quadrant there, or if I don't like the look, we're flipping to that back right there. So this hand should not be here, right? You also shouldn't end up in not a knee pinch position. So at no point does this leg end up anywhere past the center point of his line that way. So if I was like this is what I meant earlier, where guys are like this. Why is this leg here? This leg has to be here anyway. If I either fall back into an arm bar, or I decided to come back into this fight this way, like this leg's sitting on this side. This hand had one purpose, wedge or over the top, one of two, okay? So there shouldn't be anywhere on that base far outside, okay? If you're in here on this pit, right, the first stop is a knee pinch. right? And then as I'm coming over the top, as I was here, and he countered over, this hand is coming through here because as I'm turning to open, this thing should have been lacing through, right? And then the other day we went, okay, he came up to turtle, and I went, whoop! I went like this, and then I picked this thing up, and then I was perfectly set. It looked like it was a dance that we orchestrated together if it's done right, right? So on that hand coming over, let's practice that. Yeah, I like it also, but understand who you're doing that against. Because the moment you come like this on this hip, like this to sit and slide it, like what do you think he's doing? He's pressing you away, and now what's your generating force behind you? And now the angle of the kneecap is coming in 2 seconds. So who are you doing this on? Like, ask yourself that question, okay? So the reason I was explaining, like, hey, you gotta learn how to do it this way, because like, I like doing that also, but I also know, like, all right, like, we're playing this game, like who cares? Like, you get through, then I go attack the leg and I spin around. But a guy I never met before, competition play, no way. No way. I gotta be like this, and I gotta come in here, and I gotta use this left leg to keep driving because he wants to keep putting this thing in between us. And I'm driving to put him on his hip and go, okay, I got that knee through. Right? And now that knee I'm starting to use this shin and this knee and this foot and the instep to drive this arm up or aggressively slide forward. So I'm not opposed to you doing it. I like doing it also. I like sitting here too and going, oh, he left the legs and put this like that and going, okay, big step. Like, yeah, I like doing it also. But I mean, like, I've been doing the game 25 years. And then, you know what? After doing it a while, you start to get a feel of like the level of the skill that you're playing. So you could do things that, yeah, who cares? But competition play, no, don't sit like that. He's going to separate from you, right? High level player, the guy that's going to sit on the podium at the end, is going to separate from you. You can't do that, okay? So that's why I like doing it also, so that I can see where the knee is and stuff. But competition play, I can't let this shin get between us. So I got to use this left leg to drive and drive. I also may want to take this right knee and go, you don't want to let me drive? Why can't I move it up and rip at this floater and try to crack that floater on him? Unfortunately, it cracks. Like, that floater lets go. And like, oh, sorry. Yeah. So, like, you may decide to do that to get him up on a 45 to make your backside wedge. So there's, like, you're reading how the game, but not on that hip. And I'm okay with you doing it, but then understand, like, when to do it. Don't go doing this, make it a staple of your game. Then you go to the Worlds and you do that and go, oh my God, you were so close to mounting. Like, why? So that's where I want you to just understand. It was a great question because I like doing it also. And then you might see somebody like one of the world champions in IBJ do it in a video or something, and you go, oh yeah, I want to do that. It's easier. Yeah, I know it's easier. Easier usually means like easier to get out of too. So those things correlate together, right? They really do, man. So don't do that. Let's grab water. If you forget, go on Happy Pill. Those videos were non-stop on how we get behind here, how we insert, how we recover, hip flips, everything. So you should be really kind of coordinated if you read long. If you haven't, if I see all messed up, I'll be yelling at you. You don't watch the Happy Pill. Okay, guys? So let's do it.